Hey everybody, welcome to Texas News Studio. I want to get you caught up on some of the interesting developments going on today in the news. So good to see everybody coming in tonight. Also, just some quick shout outs. I'm glad you're with us tonight. All the mods in here. I see Surgery, Jerry was in here, and many others that are in here as well. I'm glad you're with us tonight. I had little technical difficulties earlier today with some of our streaming. I'm going to reset that during the overnight. If you want to check us back in through the Rumble or Twitch, you're certainly welcome to. It does happen from time to time. So I want to get you caught up on some of the news, which is first off concerning the asteroid, which they are raising the odds a little bit. And I'm going to give you some different reports going from different sources so you can check them out on your own. The first one's actually coming from this Smithsonian. The astronomers raised the odds of an asteroid impact in 2032 to 2.3%. But on the other hand, here's why you shouldn't panic. It says the chance of a newly discovered space rock hitting Earth in about 8 years from now was predicted at 1.6% last week. Though that number is rising, it says experts say further research could bring it back down to zero. Last week, NASA reported that a newly identified asteroid has a more than 1% chance of striking Earth in December of 2032, per a statement released by the agency. It says now astronomers have bumped up that number, putting the space rock's odds of colliding with our planet about 2.3%. It says while the identification has triggered international planetary defense measures, experts say the further observations of the asteroid might drop the impact probability down to zero. They're saying most likely this one will pass by harmlessly. Colin Snodgrass, astronomer at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, says, but told The Guardian last week, but it does deserve just a little more attention, he says, with telescopes until we confirm that. The longer we follow its orbit, the more accurate our future predictions of the trajectory would become. So, pardon me. Says the NASA-funded Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, the Atlas station, in Chile, first reported the asteroid. It's called 2024 YR4 on December 27th of just past year, 2024. Within a few days, it has risen to the top of NASA's Century Risk Table and the European Space Agency's Near-Earth Object Risk List. It says in subsequent updates, experts revise its chances of impact to 1 in 63 to now 1 in 53, or 1 in 53, and then the current 1 in 43 predictions. Still means, however, that a rock has a 97.9% chance of zooming by without causing any damage. It says the steady crawl upward is not a reason to panic, experts say. Any prediction of an asteroid's trajectory at this stage would include uncertainty. It says as astronomers gather more data, it will look like the asteroid has a higher chance of hitting Earth, but in all probability, says it'll eventually get enough information to say for sure that it won't. This uncertainty is going to be reducing, they said. The impact probability is going to be, though, increasing for a short time until the moment when the Earth falls out of that uncertainty region. Now, they're saying this asteroid, 2024 YR4, is estimated to have a diameter of about 130 to 300 feet, which is not remotely large enough to be civilization ending, like the space rock that nearly wiped out the dinosaurs. You remember that? And it's also more comparable to the 1908 Tunguska impactor, which flattened about an 830 square mile area of the forest in Siberia, for those of you that remember that. It says an asteroid of this size still has the potential to destroy a major city or cause a massive tsunami, but in the unlikely case of predicted collision, authorities would have time to plan any necessary evacuations. So that's nice to know. It says, however, scientists infer the size of the asteroid from the amount of light they reflect, which also depends on their composition. It says that means astronomers have some inherent uncertainty in their measurement of the asteroid's diameter. It says that if the asteroid has a darker surface, that number is too small. If it has a more reflective surface, that number is too high. says the first step in the planetary defense response is to trigger further observations. Now, NASA does have the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART, and they actually successfully changed the course of an asteroid by slamming a spacecraft into it. This was in 2022, at least demonstrating the methodology potential to redirect future Earth-threatening objects. Says again, asteroid 2024 YR4 is currently ranked at level 3 on NASA's Torino Impact Hazard Scale, meaning it merits attention by astronomers. The highest ranking asteroid ever reached with scale is 4, briefly achieved by that asteroid Apophis in 2004, before further observations downgraded it back to 0. They're saying it's likely to happen with this asteroid 2024 YR4 as well. It says we expect the impact probability to go to 0 rather than 100%, but it may take a few years before we get that data to show it. That's coming from the Smithsonian, so I want to make you aware of that. Good to see everybody coming in tonight. There's Eric. Jeannie's in here. Good to see you. Kathy's in here. I'm glad you're with us tonight as well. That's coming from the Smithsonian. It also made the news with Newsweek. Again, Newsweek had a big headline saying massive asteroid is headed for Earth. Here's where it could hit in 2032. Currently ranked as the most dangerous space object near Earth by NASA, saying it could hit the planet at the end of 2032. The asteroid's size means it would have the same power of a nuclear bomb if it were to hit the Earth, resulting in major destruction to the Earth it could impact, per the BBC. It's interesting, you get these different articles and they all have a little different perspective on things. It says the impact of this asteroid could be 1,000 times more powerful than the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima or Nagasaki, meaning it could wipe out a city and the surrounding area. Again, Newsweek says, what we just talked about, is the asteroid is known as 2024 YR4, was first detected in December last year, 2027, on December 27th, 2024. And according to this, it's between about 130 to 300 feet wide. NASA's risk list of near-Earth objects show. Say the impact would have happened around December 22nd, 2032, in case you're going to be around then, about 2 p.m. UTC time. They're even saying the asteroid could land somewhere across the Pacific, northern South America, the Atlantic, Africa, or South Asia. Okay, so it didn't mention North America, though. Per the outlet, the size of the object means it would have devastating impacts that stretch 30 miles from the point of impact. Says it's highly likely that if it even happens at all, that it would land in the ocean rather than in a highly populated area. So it is currently ranked as 3, means it's meriting attention by astronomers. An asteroid with a certain chance is typically ranked between 8 and 10. But they think this will drop to category 0 following further investigations. Says if it were to impact Earth, it could release roughly equivalent to several megatons of TNT. Says for comparison, the Tunguska event of 1908 released energy estimated between 3 to 15 megatons. An impact by 2024 YR4 would likely result in an airburst explosion rather than a crater-forming impact. Hang on one second. I was able to cut that off. Okay, so that was one report, again, coming from Newsweek. It says, again, they're saying the public should not be overly concerned. We'll keep an eye on it. The next one in here, guys. So those are the 2 reports that I got about the asteroid. Very briefly on some of the other news of the day, because I want to get you caught up on that. And we're always getting these reports over on Rumble and Twitch, guys. So if you're not seeing us over on YouTube for the daily updates, I got them in about an hour earlier on Rumble and Twitch as well. But again, Trump administration to keep just 294 U.S. aid staff out of 10,000 globally. That was reported from Reuters earlier. Also coming from, and this is coming from, let me pull this up here real quick. This one is coming from Breaking 911. President Trump signs executive memo ordering review of funding to all non-government organizations. Those are the NGOs that rely on federal dollars, White House said, coming from Reuters. And also, WikiLeaks U.S. aid has been funding over 6,000 journalists worldwide across nearly 1,000 platforms. This is a Zero Hedge article. Remember the other day about the funding outlets such as Politico, the Associated Press, the BBC, and others raised more questions than it answered because of they were been funded, and many of them had subscriptions. In some cases, again, I think it was, I forgot the number, 30,000 subscriptions. But while funding for Politico and others have come from all over the federal government, WikiLeaks, citing an RSF report, highlighted that U.S. aid was funding over 6,200 journalists across 707 media outlets and 279 media NGOs, which include 90% of the reportage out of Ukraine, interestingly enough. So again, there's a lot of funding from the government, and we don't get any funding here at TNS from the government, as you well know. Going through some of the other reports in here real quick today. Trump takes the gloves off, orders GSA to cancel every single media contract today. Trump on Thursday ordered the General Services Administration, that's the GSA, to cancel every single media contract funded by the agency. Again, contracts for Politico, BBC, Bloomberg, and Politico Pro were canceled. Politico Pro costs $10,000 per year. Again, the GSA is to terminate every single media contract expensed by the agency, according to an email obtained by Access. The other report that, again, we talked about this actually over on Rumble and Twitch earlier. Trump is to force Zelensky to agree on a ceasefire by Easter. It's been making the news from different outlets that I've been looking at today, from Zero Hedge, from the Daily Mail, Liberty Daily. But again, a Daily Mail report has, there's a leaked memo about a Trump ceasefire plan, which he intends to present for Russia's consideration. The report says Trump will try to force Ukraine's President Zelensky to agree to a ceasefire by Easter, which is on April the 20th of this year. It says the Trump administration is seeking to end the war within 100 days. Again, it's still unconfirmed, but the headline is having an immediate impact on oil prices. On top of this, Ukrainian troops will be made to leave Russia's Kursk region. It says the EU will also reportedly be asked to assist Ukraine in reconstruction efforts. That's going to be about $486 billion over the next decade. It says the plans will also reportedly begin with a phone call between Zelensky and Vladimir Putin in early February. The next report in, NGOs shutter migrant shelters as releases end and money dries up. Non-government migrant shelters are feeling the impact as illegal entries continue to dwindle across the southwest border after President Trump's swift actions to control the border and carry out mass deportations. Again, nonprofit organizations received hundreds of millions of dollars from federal funding, and government under the Biden administration began to close their doors. Again, from Texas to California, the shelters that once counted on steady flows of cash from the U.S. Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Food and Shelter Program, and the Customs Border Protections are no longer receiving released asylum-seeking migrants from the Department of Homeland Security. So they're closing shelters in San Antonio, Texas, just a few miles from the San Antonio International Airport. Arizona shelters are closing as well. Houses about 650 migrants. So going on, the Breitbart Texas visited each of the Arizona shelters in the Migrant Resource Center in Texas several times. But again, according to FEMA, looks like the drop in illegal border crossings since the inauguration of President Donald Trump will likely mean more shelters will shutter in the coming days and weeks ahead. On Sunday, less than 500 migrants were apprehended crossing the southwest border, according to a source within the Customs and Borders Protection. So just a very quick update on the news again tonight. By the way, again, NASA officials report that there's a 2.3% chance of an asteroid striking Earth in 2032, up from 1.9% yesterday. So it equates to about a 1 in 43% chance of impact, but a 97.7% likelihood that the asteroid will miss the Earth. It's about 130 to 330 feet in diameter. So we're going to keep you updated on that report here, guys. There's Jan in here tonight. I'm glad you're with us tonight. I wanted to give you kind of a quick update on our feed. We are running, of course, all kinds of different feeds. The weather feed is always running up on YouTube, guys. You could do me a fantastic favor if you all would at least have the tab open for the weather radar that we have up on Texas News Studio. It should be up running right now. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me double check here. So, yeah. So go to the main page of Texas News Studio, look for the weather radar, and just follow that. There's actually been some severe weather earlier today. There's even a tornado warning through Tennessee right now. So that would really help us out on that, okay? But that in mind, that's my quick update for the day. We'll keep you updated on the asteroid. Thanks to our moderators that keep us running every day. We're running these updates every day from now on, guys. I've been doing it for a while. I got my computer fan fixed on the computer, so that's why I've been off for a few days. It's back and running now. Everything's fine. So I'm going to see you every night around 5 to 6 p.m. Central. Look for our feed on the live feeds down below and the upcoming feeds. Check out the weather feed that's always on as well, because you can always come in and chat and stay updated with the news, or at least the weather, but you can chat about the news either way, okay? So I'm going to wrap it up for now. Again, good to see everybody coming in tonight, and I will talk to you soon at the next report. There's good to see Jeannie in here tonight as well. So, yeah, please check out that weather feed. It's up and running right now. I run it 24/7. Unless I have to take it down for a quick reset, it's always going to be there, okay? So it's up and running, and it'll help pay some bills. Take care. See you at the next report.